I did my service learning at Pike Freshman Center, which is actually connected to Pike High School by a long hallway, so I was able to spend some of my service learning at the high school as well. My first day at Pike, I was told that it was going to be different from my high school, mostly because of the size. Well, by the numbers, Pike only has about 300 more students than Fishers High School, so I didn't think it could be that different. Having the freshman center and the high school connected makes the Pike campus overwhelming to navigate. I was impressed by the amount of resources that are available to the staff and the students at Pike. They have a planetarium, a large performing arts center, and several career development programs. Between the freshman center and the high school, there are 2 large media centers. I spent one of my mornings at Pike with the head of the media center. Ms. Darnay took me for a short tour of the school, explained to me what she does at Pike, and explained some programs that she helped put into place. For example, Ms. Darnay believes that it is important to make connections to literature in every subject. She works with several history and science teachers to help supplement their curriculum with relevant novels. In addition to encouraging students to read more, this helps the students to see examples of how what they're learning in class can be applied in different situations. Ms. Darnay used the example of having the students read The Martian in order to show principles of biology and astronomy in an interesting way. Someday, hopefully, I'll be lucky enough to be employed by a school that values their media center and the people who run it like Pike does. I spent 2 hours every Friday at Pike for 8 weeks. For the first hour, I'd be sent to observe different English teachers, and the second hour was spent in the E&L room helping students who speak small amounts of English. It didn't matter if it was in an English room or the E&L room. My favorite thing was when a student wanted help organizing their thoughts for a paper. I was only able to spend 1 hour observing each English teacher. I would have liked to spend more than just an hour with a couple of the teachers I met, but an hour is enough time to observe the dynamic of the classroom. Every teacher that I observed conducted their classroom differently and interacted with their students differently. One teacher that impressed me was Miss Iannuzzo. She was returning from spending a week off and was trying to organize the class after having different substitutes for 4 days. She remained calm and level-headed among the confusion. She asked for the students' help to work with her to figure everything out. Although it was clear that she was in charge, she remained relatable and approachable. It was clear to see that most of her students respected her. Watching Miss Iannuzzo, I realized how important balance is in the classroom. It's a fine line between being the boss of your classroom and being bossy. Similarly, it's a fine line between being understanding and kind to your students and being a pushover. Miss Iannuzzo told me that it will take a couple of years to find the balance that works for me in my own classroom, which, if I'm being honest, is both reassuring and concerning when I think about my future as a teacher. My time in the E&L classroom opened my eyes to some of the challenges I will face as a teacher. Firstly, most of the students didn't want help from someone that they didn't know. My first day in the E&L room, the teacher assigned a student to work with me. We worked together to complete a quiz over The Lord of the Flies. The next week, I saw the student in the hallway, and he waved at me. In the weeks to follow, the students warmed up to me and asked me for help on their English and history assignments. They knew that math wasn't my strong suit and would joke with me about it every so often. Working in the E&L room exposed me to the challenge of communicating with students who don't understand the words that I am saying. It took patience and determination to complete assignments with these students. As long as you didn't give up on the students, they would continue to try, which might be the most valuable lesson I learned at Pike, because it doesn't only apply to the E&L students. My time at Pike Freshman Center and high school showed me that as a teacher, it is important to look for unique ways to make the course material relevant to your students, and that the partnerships that you create with your colleagues and your students can help you make this possible.